Ladies and gentlemen, you better be ready for war here on Sportswire Radio because our guest here to kick things off tonight, he is somebody that I like to say is going to lay wastelands to his opponents and maybe even to his tag team partners. I'm coming here in this match here this Saturday for the LWF Wastelands event here. And he's a first-time comer, but he's definitely not somebody we've spoken about. We've spoke about him many, many times here on Sportswire Radio. We're excited to have him. He is arguably an up-and-coming star, not only in the LWF, but in all of professional wrestling. We have seen him in the ring. We have talked about his matches. Now we get to hear his side of things and maybe where he disagrees with some of the things here in the LWF, and that has been a theme here on Sportswire Radio of late. So let's get to it. So without further ado here on the Sports Report, the number one global sports show pro wrestling star here from the LWF, that's Bellateus. My friend, how are you?
Good evening, good day, wherever you are. It's nice to have a space here. It's nice to be invited on and given a space to talk freely. It's a luxury the LWF just hasn't been affording me lately. Everywhere I turn, they're trying to stop me. They're trying to speak to somebody else. It's always somebody new, never me. But here we are, and I'm glad to have this space to speak freely about it.
And I'm glad that we're giving you this space. And I will say one thing, it has been a recurring theme here, Bellateus, and we'll get into it because some of your opponents and some of your tag team partners obviously have been on different sides of the coin here with the LWF management, but management certainly has been controversial with some of the decisions, and we definitely want you to be able to speak about some of those things here. And obviously, we are excited to have you here. I have been very impressed with what you've done in the ring. And frankly, I have to say, before we get into some of the matches upcoming with you here, I have to say I kind of enjoyed when you were in the ring with Wildfire Nate Reese, because Wildfire Nate Reese had a challenge and you answered that challenge. And I had asked him, I think, quite a bit over that time period when you were actually had finished being in the ring with him. Were you sure, Wildfire Nate Reese, you wanted a challenge? Were you sure that you wanted to deal with Bellateus? And I must say, I think since that match, it's kind of been a different Wildfire Nate Reese. So I don't know what you did to him. Did you beat him up so bad that he kind of changed into a different character, a different person? Maybe you beat him in where he maybe saw things differently and maybe saw the light. I don't know, but you definitely, since that moment, I kind of do feel like that it's been a different Wildfire Nate Reese.
Well, certainly, for those last couple of shows before that open challenge, I sat there. I sat backstage biding my time, waiting for the moment to strike, waiting for that comeback. And all I could hear was Nate Reese going out there, being impatient, trying to grab at that opportunity, trying to demand that the LWF management give it to him. Now I understand that the LWF management can be fickle, but at that time, it was just so frustrating to hear him, begging practically for this opportunity, whilst I worked backstage, worked hard behind the scenes to earn it. And so when he issued that open challenge, the keywords in open, anybody can step out there. And I decided to step out there and show him. And I think since that moment, I do think we've seen a different side of Nate Reese. Some might say it's worse. I don't really mind, to be honest with you. I did what I needed to do.
I think it's for the better. I got to be honest with you, champ. I think it's for the better because now we see what Wildfire Nate Reese has done in the ring. Now we see the opportunities that have been afforded to him, and maybe you needed to beat some sense into him. Maybe that's what your opponents need. Maybe, I don't know. I mean, who knows? You're even the people you're being in the ring with. We're going to get to them also. I mean, so maybe that's what's needed in the LWF. You to just come in and walk in the ring and just beat your opponent senseless so maybe they can do things differently. Maybe you're helping people inadvertently. Who knows?
Hey, listen, whatever they choose to do after I'm done with them, they can do whatever they'd like to do. All I know is when I step into that ring, I have one goal in mind, and that is to dominate my opponent. And that is what I did that night, and that is what I have tried to do every night since. And so, whatever happens to Nate Reese since then, don't blame me. That's completely off of Nate Reese's back. If I've beaten,
I gotta thank you. No, I'm not blaming you. I'm thanking you actually because listen, Wildfire Nate Reese before it was like this guy was doing the raffle challenge and he was in the back and he was like, "Yeah, please let me get in the ring." And now he's a changed man. He's actually doing things for himself. And well, Also, we saw what happened with Bob Costin. I mean, he shaved Bob Costin's head. I mean, Bob Costin actually maybe in a way you maybe showed him the light because after what you did to Wildfire Nate Reese, look at what he did to Bob Costin. So in a way, you are a lot more charitable than maybe people realize. That's why we call you I Am War. But speaking of that here, and we'll get to the match in a second, but I did want to bring this up because when I saw the announcement for this match last week, I was curious about this and what happened with management and why you were fined, because obviously that has been the talk right now throughout the locker room in the LWF right now.
So, at Slamaganza, I was invited out to do an interview to tell my side of the story, and that's a great place to be in. Going out there, I've not really had the chance in the LWF. I'm seen as something as quite an enigma, or I was rather. I didn't really speak much, and it's true when I get in that ring and there's a job to be done, I don't like to talk, but certainly there is method, and there is reason behind everything I do, and I'm more than happy to explain that. So, given the chance to have that interview, I came out there ready to, show my colours and explain what had happened in the Castle Cup, and how Clash was undeserving of that win. Clash, all he did was move out of the way. It was if anything, it was the ring post that bettered me that match, not Clash. So
the ring post should have won that match, not Clash.
Yeah, I backed the ring post in the Castle Cup all the way over Clash. We all saw what he did in the next round, very little. I'm sure the ring post would have put up more of a fight. Anyway, so I wanted to go out there and give the best impression of myself to the LWF audience. It's the first time I'd ever had a proper opportunity to speak, and lo and behold, the interview is skewed in a way that's hyping up the fact that I've lost. And of course, that really winds me up. So I've got to express how I'm feeling, and then I want to leave. I want my music playing. This is my big moment. The LWF now knows what Bellateus stands for, and lo and behold, the technician, Martin, I believe his name is Martin, can't even press a space bar correctly. Instead, clicks the wrong song, plays a child song that played at children's parties, and it's an insult to me, and it's an insult to the craft that I bring to the LWF. And so, yes, I saw red, but I'm sorry, if someone who is supposed to blend into the background and do a service at our shows decides he's going to step up and make a mockery of the talent, then, if he wants to show his face and pipe up and make a big play like that for attention, I'm going to give him all the attention he needs. And so, as we saw there, he got that attention and he couldn't back it up and he didn't enjoy it. And lo and behold, the Los Lancadors come down. And lo and behold, I'm fined by the LWF management. And lo and behold, I'm put in an 8-man tag match when all I want is an opportunity to show what I can do on my own. How am I supposed to do that with 7 other people in that ring?
Let me ask you a question. Why did the Los Lancadors get involved? What did they have to do with everything that was involved in your match with Clash and anything else? I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Bellateus, but as far as I understood, because we've talked a lot about the LWF in depth here over the past year on Sportswire Radio, I didn't know of any history between you and the Los Lancadors. What were they doing here?
The only shared history between myself and the Los Lancadors was when Mr. B took, I think it was 5 hands of gods repeatedly, and the referee had to call that. I could have carried on all night. I don't care, but the ref stopped that, and I guess they didn't like that. I guess that they think that it's bang out of order for someone to dominate somebody else who is, quite frankly, not here to play around. I'm not here to play around. I'm not here to make jokes and to roll around in front of the audience and make the children laugh. I'm here to give those fans what they paid for, and that is good, dominant wrestling. And I suspect that maybe they don't like that. And when I get Martin in the ring, to pay for the mockery and the laughter that he's just incited on me, the Los Lancadors don't like that. They seem to like it when people are laughing, but only when it's at me, not at Martin being dominated by a stronger force. And so, I think that they've come in and they've decided to make a big play, 3-on-1, 3 against 1. They're going to try and outnumber the big man, try and get a big scalp, try and make a name for themselves. But it's not that easy. They've got to earn it.
Do you feel disrespected in the LWF right now?
I feel disrespected. I feel underappreciated. I work very hard, pound for pound. I am, one of the most dominant forces in the LWF. I feel certainly, and so I do feel disrespected. I feel disrespected by the management. I feel disrespected by members of talent there, members of the back room. I feel disrespected from the top down. I feel, quite frankly, disrespected by the audience. Laughing at me for an error that was out of my hands, an error that some incompetent sound technician made, and I get laughed at for it. We should be laughing at him and his error, but no, I'm the one that's being laughed at. I am the one now with a big target painted on my back from all aspects of the LWF for sticking up for myself. I do feel, quite frankly, disrespected, and this 8-man tag match is the final nail in the coffin. You're going to see a very different Bellateus this Saturday.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I would definitely tread very lightly, not only for those who are going to be in the ring against Bellateus, but those that we know here on Sportzwire Radio that are going to be, quote-unquote, teaming up with Bellateus. That includes Wildfire Nate Reese and the Acid Stephen Cross, and along with Alora Tevez. So certainly we are looking forward to Bellateus being in the ring. He will be in action for the LWF at the upcoming Wastelands event here this Saturday, of course, at the Buckshaw Village Community Center. Always excited to speak about the LWF. If you like what you hear from Bellateus and you feel like he does, or you might feel like the way I do about LWF Manager right now, do like his Facebook page at Bellateus. Also follow his page on Instagram. He just opened up those pages, so we want to show support here on Sportswire Radio for those that come on here. I am the host of the Sports Report and the station manager here of Sportswire Radio, the Reverend Tom Bryson. Bellateus, I kind of feel like what you just said has been something I have been speaking about here for the past couple of months. I've seen what has happened with the injustices with the Acid Stephen Cross and his own situation in the Castle Cup tournament. I've seen the injustices with Wildfire Nate Reese and how he basically had to get a beating from you to see things differently and now become a changed man. And there does seem to be nepotism here in the LWF. There does seem to be favoritism. I'm going to break it here. We're going to talk about this with Mikey Fitzgerald tomorrow, 9:30 p.m. British Standard Time. We'll get his side of the story. I'm sure he's going to have a different take than I might have or you might take. But walk me through, why is that there are certain wrestlers that it seems like management is favoring them over, let's say, someone like yourself? There does seem to be right now in the LWF, more so than any company that I cover on Sportswire Radio. We do a lot of companies. I'm sure you've seen the interviews, seen the people come on. I know you're a busy man and you get ready to beat up people, but I know you hear things. But the fact of the matter is, going to this here, and I do feel like that there is nepotism in the LWF when it comes to management favoring certain wrestlers. What do you think?
Well, once upon a time I may have felt differently about that, but recent events have put that beyond reasonable doubt, I feel. And the only thing I can put that down to is marketability. Perhaps the LWF audience don't react to my style of wrestling, brutal, straight up, comes in and gets the job done. I really do feel that the LWF audience, for some reason, seems to gravitate more towards the types of the Los Lancadors who come out and cheer and clap and do roles for the children, and they are fine. They're good wrestlers. Don't get me wrong. They don't need all of this extra gimmicky things. They don't need to come out and do that for the audience. Let the wrestling speak for itself. Let the art form and the craft speak for itself. But they don't. They come out there, they make a show of themselves. They're basically court jesters. And for whatever reason, the LWF audience seems to lap that up. And that trickles down to management. That is why, these guys are being so favoured. And that's why these guys have only been, allowed to face me in an 8-man tag match. Not one-on-one, not one-on-two. I don't mind. I'll face all three of them. I don't care. And that is exactly why they have been given Bob Costin and Leah Raven to back them up. To up the numbers and to increase the odds. And that's why they've put me with a team. Now, you might be thinking, Bellateus, the odds are even. It's 4-on-4. But it absolutely isn't. I don't work with other people. I am not the Los Lancadors. I don't make friends. I make enemies. And I do that through my brand of wrestling. So actually, it is not fair at all. This is not a fair match. But I will rise above those odds and I will prove myself.
No question about that. And last I checked, a guy named Vince McMahon, he liked having big men in the ring. He thought they were marketable. He thought that people did want to see when big men would beat up other wrestlers and be dominant in the ring. That's called an attraction wrestler. I mean, we've seen that in the past. Andre the Giant, certainly The Undertaker, Kane, The Big Show. There's a long list of them almost right now. I mean, Brock Lesnar, you could, I guess, technically call that to some extent as well a big man. I mean, there's a number of them. Kevin Nash. I mean, I can go on all day about big men. So that's why I'm kind of like feel a little bit bizarre to me in terms of my emotions when I hear you speak, because I would think, again, it's highly marketable to have a big man in the LWF and want to go out there for a couple of minutes and just beat some people up and get the job done here. And that's somebody I think that you would be a great fit for. But obviously, these are reasons why I think management have become controversial, why they've become the way they've become. I mean, I do want to address this going into the match here at Wastelands, because obviously there was a back and forth between you and the asset Stephen Cross, and he's going to come on here Friday. So I'm going to ask him about this match, and I want to go straight to the heart. I want to cut to the chase here. I mean, what happened there between you and the asset Stephen Cross? Because it seems like maybe you and him have maybe the same idea, but there's only one of yous that could do what you're intending to do this Saturday.
That's absolutely right, and I do think that is the crux of this. I set out pretty clearly in that post there that the all I ask of my allies for that evening is to stay out of my way and let me do what I need to do. All I want really is the Los Lancadors, and anybody else who gets in my way is just collateral damage. And so, be that a teammate, be that Bob Costin and Leah Raven, I don't care. If they get in my way, they are collateral. They are an obstacle that I need to reach my goal. And so, all they need to do is stay out of my way. And I think Stephen Cross, for whatever reason, decided to test that, decided to poke me and try me. He says, well, what if I do get in your way? I think I made my intentions fairly clear there. And I'm just glad. I've seen Stephen Cross wrestle. He's incredible. The strength that man has is incredible. But, by God, he needs to use this up here and start reading between lines and figuring out what's going to happen if he stands in my way. It's not in his best interest to do so.
Is it fair to say that you just pointed to him using his head, but it seems to me, and I'll get your thoughts, obviously, that he's not using his head? Because if it was me, especially the asset Stephen Cross and the injustices he's faced in the LWF, whether it was with having to face Lachlan Sharp, cold 2 out of 3 falls match, his own Castle Cup match being changed without notice. I mean, I would almost have to think here, if I'm using my head in judgment, if Bellateus says something, I'm doing it. I'm just saying, you know what? I have a job to do in there. I got to kick some ass. Just let him get in the ring, meaning you, and do what you have to do. And that's the Los Lancadores. So, I mean, I just would think the right thing to do would just use that judgment and say, get out of your way.
You know what, Tom? It surprises me too, because every month somebody else they get somebody else out there who thinks they can have a go, who thinks that they can have a pop and stand to me, and the only person to really do anything is Clash, and even then we've discussed this. He just moved out of the way, and it was more the ring post. So I don't feel bested in any of my matches in the LWF so far. I don't feel bettered. I don't feel like anybody has deserved to take anything from me. And so, when I say move, you get out of my way.
Oh, I would certainly say so. I mean, you're a very big man. I've seen you in the ring. I mean, I've seen what you've done. Obviously, you've literally laid your opponents for whatever opportunity you've gotten. You've definitely laid them in a wasteland-like situation. I mean, almost in a sense, after hearing you talk, and I wasn't going to ask you this, but just hearing everything, the way you've expressed it to us here on Sportswire Radio, I almost feel like maybe there's nobody in the locker room that could really stand toe-to-toe with you right now. And I think in some ways, they're almost all either cowards or afraid, or maybe that's what it is. I mean, do you feel that way? Because again, there's nobody in the locker room I could think of that looks like you, that moves like you, that can just hit people the way you do. I mean, there really isn't anybody in this locker room right now that really could go toe to toe with you. Do you almost feel like that they're cowards and they don't want to admit it? They're just scared of you, everybody.
Well, we've discussed the Los Lancadores at length already, and not to keep coming back to them, but they're really getting on my nerves at the moment. And they came out, and it was 3 against 1. You know, Martin was laid out on the floor there, ruin his own actions, and the three of them decided to come out and play the numbers game with me, 3-against-1. And I think that's a testament to what they feel from me, that three of them it could be equal to one of me. So I do feel I do feel feared, but I also think that fear translates to respect, and I don't feel respected. So I don't think they do fear me enough yet. I don't think they are scared enough of me yet, and I will continue to do what I need to do and what I do until they all fear me the way that they should. And in
Well,
terms of you, in terms of you saying, that nobody in that locker room can match me, that is my one dream in the LWF in wrestling. Every time I get into that ring, I want to find somebody who is a match for me, who can stand with me and match me. If they're smaller than me, can they outpace me in speed and make up for my strength? I live for the matchup. I live for the fight. I live for the power struggle. I live for the competition. That is what I try to bring to the LWF and to the LWF audience. And so I sincerely hope that there is somebody back there who can match me. But as of yet, I don't feel I've seen that.
well, I'll tell you one thing, ladies and gentlemen. If I'm Steve Bibby, if I'm Mikey Fitz, put people in the ring that can stand toe to toe with Bellateus. This is a guy, I'm looking at him right now, ladies and gentlemen. We speak with all types of people. This guy's got pounds, dollar signs, whatever you want to say. He's got it written all over him. This is the kind of guy that you're going to want to market the LWF for. I know Ronaldo's the champion right now. I know, obviously, Eitan Steen, quote unquote, won the Castle Cup. But this is the guy, ladies and gentlemen, that I'm looking at. He's worth a lot of money. He's going to put a lot of tickets out there. He's going to get a lot of people to go out there and see him. This is the kind of person I would be building the LWF for. I got a very, very good feeling about his future. And listen, on Sportswire Radio, we'll make things happen because something tells me. I feel like Vince McMahon right now looking at this guy. He definitely looks like he's a guy that I just see years and years down the line. He's going to be a big, big star in some company out there, whether it's the LWF or somewhere else, is going to get the hit and say, this guy is worth dollar signs. That's why we're very happy to have him here on Sportswire Radio. And if you like what you hear from us on Sportswire Radio, you can definitely give us a like on Facebook at Sportswire Radio. In 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, you can listen to all of our great content on sportnarium.com/player. You can like and follow Bellateus on Facebook at Bellateus Pro Wrestler. Instagram, he's just opened up a page. Make sure you like his Instagram page and follow it because he'll come after you. He'll find out where you live. He'll make sure that you better go out there and follow that page. And I want to bring in a comment right now from somebody that is from a company that we've done some work with recently. We're going to be doing some more work with in the future. That is Dustin Hart, pro wrestling star. And he said that, this is his comment here. He says, I find the numbers game is a sign of fear because they're afraid to compete alone, man to man or face to face. Walk me through your thoughts on that.
I completely agree. Dustin, thank you. It's so refreshing to find here on Sportswire Radio that there is an audience that actually, thinks the same way and does agree. It's so refreshing to hear that. So thank you. And yeah, certainly, I do find that, everybody says, oh, you shouldn't have attacked the sound guy. That was one-on-one. If he wants to draw attention to himself, that was one-on-one. He had as much of a fair opportunity as anybody else I step inside that ring with. And yet here we are, the Los Lancadors come out, and all of a sudden it's 3-against-1. And even then, I wouldn't say that I came out of that worse for wear. I'd say that was pretty even 3-against-1. And so if that doesn't tell you, how this Saturday is going to go when it's two of the Los Lancadors against one of me, there's other people in there, there's unknown variables. I take that point. But at the end of the day, if we remove all of the variables, it's two Los Lancadors against one of me, and they couldn't even best me with 3. So it's make of that what you will.
I would even say that I don't even know if 4 of the Los Lancadors could equal to Bellateus. There's something tells me that looking at the way you've been in there and the times that we've seen you in the ring, that's kind of how I feel about it. And Dustin comments in here again, says that I've been dealing with the numbers game for 2 years in CCW, which he has, obviously top tier and everybody there in the working class militia. He says, never back down, never give up, never surrender. A true man fights alone. your comment.
Yeah, I set that out in my interview. Before it got sidetracked, I said I want to be a one man army. I said it quite clearly. I said you can send one man in the ring with me. You can send two. You can send five. You could send the entire roster, and I would never back down. Now, who knows what the conclusion would be in any of those hypothetical situations. That's not what I'm discussing here. What I'm discussing is I have the heart of a warrior, and I will never ever back down.
Absolutely, and I could certainly see, looking at you, why you wouldn't want to back down, and I could certainly see why you feel the way that you feel, and almost have to ask you, maybe it doesn't matter so much wins and losses right now, especially when it comes to this match, because you kind of have a goal right now, and that goal is to basically make the life a living hell for the Los Lancadores.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, the state I come out of that match in, it's of no matter to me as long as the others get out of that ring feeling much worse than I do. As long as the others come out of that ring regretting the fact that they got in with me, it doesn't matter what they do to me, I will hit them 10 times harder. And as long as they get out ruining it and, maybe waking up the next morning and thinking, oh, why did I bother? As long as they're doing that, I'll get out of bed with a spring in my step knowing that I've done that.
I could certainly see that, and Dustin chimes in here and says, passion, determination, you will succeed in every aspect. We got a good feeling that you're going to certainly succeed. You're going to certainly do some great things here. And something tells me, for whatever reason, when I think of you, I just don't know whatever it is, but certainly the System of a Down Chop Suey song comes to mind. I have a feeling that's going to be your opponents. It's going to be Chop Suey when it comes to seeing them, and maybe even some of the people you're across the ring with. And that's obviously Wildfire Date recent. Certainly Mr. Stephen Cross, who certainly made his name, I guess, made to you. We'll get his side of the story on Friday. And we have another comment from somebody else in the LWF. You might know who he is. His name is Davey Getsky, and he says, get Mr. B for him. So what's your thoughts on that from Mr. Getsky of the Wrecking Crew?
Well, of course, Mr. B, he's been quite vocal about the fact that he's going to be at ringside, which I think is a shame. I can only.
He's always popping up on my Instagram videos, by the way. Mr. B, there's something about Mr. B. He even likes my non-wrestling videos. I don't know what Mr. B is looking for. They call him mysterious. I mean, there is something mysterious about Mr. B. I will say that Mr. Getsky, on this particular point, he might be right.
Yeah, well, Mr. B, he's not even officially sanctioned in this match, but he's made a great point about how he's going to be at ringside cheering on the rest of them. And the way I see it, you come anywhere within my area, you come anywhere near that ring, you're fair game. And so he better watch his back too, And then you might be saying now, oh well, no, you do have all three of the Los Lancadores. It's not in a sanctioned match. I need to have them in a sanctioned match. I've beaten Mr. B. This Saturday, I will beat the others. I will beat the Mass Marauder. I will beat this. I don't know. I can't even pronounce it.
I've had the same problem in the past, so don't feel too bad here. I also have another comment in here. It seems like somebody we know very well here, and that is Mr. David Potts, and he says here, Mr. B is a hero. So now we've got, it looks like, some Mr. B fans in the house. I mean, you have a response to that?
Mr. B can strap on a mask, a fancy costume, and do a silly dance for the crowds. That does not make him a hero. He hides. He hides metaphorically, he hides because he doesn't want to face me. And also he hides his face. He doesn't want anybody to know who he is. What is he ashamed of? Everyone calls him Mysterious Mr. B. He started that. He started calling himself Mysterious Mr. B, first of all. You can't go around and sort of christen yourself as Mysterious and expect that to take off and fly. He's not a hero at all. I think he's definitely lauded as one in the LWF. I can see why people are saying that. It's certainly a sentiment that's echoed, but I strongly contest that. I strongly disagree with that. He's not a hero, and you're going to see heroes win, heroes triumph, and you're going to see he's not triumphant on this. Him and the Los Lancadores are not triumphing this Saturday.
Well, we're going to certainly find out here. And Davey Getsky says here to David Potts, buy my new shirt, because Davey Getsky has a new shirt. But where's the Bellateus shirt? I want a Bellateus shirt. That's what I want. I want to see where's the Bellateus shirt. We got to listen, LWF management here. I know they're watching. I know they're listening. Mikey Fitz, Mr. Bibby. We got to get a Bellateus shirt going on here, because there is point to what he's saying here. I mean, the Los Lancadores, they're going for the cheap pops, but the guy that's going to bring business, the guy that's going to sell tickets, the guy that's going to bring a curiosity factor, and most notably, the guy that's going to bring an attraction to the LWF is the man that we're with right now. So clearly, maybe we should have a shirt of yours. Maybe we should be marketing you more. Do you want to be marketed more?
I'd love to. I think that within the LWF, if I have it my way, there's going to be a shift in momentum real soon. And people, they're gonna stop cheering for the types of for the likes of the Los Lancadores. They're going to be chanting my name instead. When I come out, they're going to be waiting and willing to see what I do next. Who am I going to crush next? And then when the time is right, absolutely, I will push for that marketing. Absolutely.
I'm glad you brought that up about, let's say, a complexion issue that I see with certain wrestlers. Obviously, we see the Los Lancadores. We see Bob Costin, who's also in the ring. We've seen the scenario Nathan Gunn, who's going to be with us on Friday. There are certain wrestlers in the LWF that seem like they have a complexion issue, and they almost are desperate to get the approval, that stamp of approval from the fans that are going to be there at the Buckshaw Village Community Center, those that are there in Chorley. I mean, why do you think that is? Do you think that there is something where deep down those wrestlers, as crazy as this sounds, maybe they're a lot more narcissists than they lead people to be on, because they're so desperate for the children. They're so desperate for the fans to cheer them and love them. But maybe deep down, there is a complexity issue. I mean, what do you think?
I have wondered about this myself. I wonder if the crowd stopped chanting their name, if the tides turned, what would they do? Would they still turn up? Would they still come out? Do they have the heart when everybody's booing you and on your back to carry on and do the job that needs to be done? I don't know. And it has to come down to a complex. And that is how you know that I am 100% authentic in what I need to do, because it doesn't matter if the crowd's on my back. It doesn't matter if the crowd's cheering me. My mission stays the same. I do what I need to do.
I could certainly see that. And for whatever reason, the Rush song Mission comes to mind, because Bellateus is on a mission, and something tells me he's going to be on a mission just as loud as Geddy Lee's vocals. So something tells me here that this is going to definitely be an event that you're going to want to see. You are definitely going to want to follow the LWF on Twitter at LWF, the LWF Wrestling, also on Instagram. Please like the Facebook page, subscribe to the YouTube page, because this is where you can see LWF content. This is where you can get involved in the discussion. Also, the LWF fans group on Facebook, Bellateus on Facebook, Instagram. Make sure you follow all these sources of information, because we always love talking the LWF here. We talk the LWF each and every Friday here on Sportswire Radio with Wildfire Nate Reese and the Acid Stephen Cross. And oddly enough, they're going to be in the ring with Bellateus. So, boy, certainly that's how it goes here in the LWF. I was excited to have you, because I will say, I think I've spoken to almost everybody in the locker room right now, and you were kind of one of the guys I've always wanted to have on, because I was like, wow, here's a guy that comes in there. He kind of gets a little bit of disrespect. He's in there, though, and he makes short work of his opponents. Look at what you did to Wildfire Nate Reese. In a lot of ways, you should be the guy that should be taking all the credit for the turnaround for Wildfire Nate Reese. I mean, you look at what you've done here. I mean, arguably, you have a case also that you should have been the Castle Cup champion. I mean, there's a lot of things that I think when it comes to having you on, I was very, very excited about this, because I think a lot of people don't know Bellateus. And I think, again, I look at you and I say, this is a guy that's worth dollars. This is a guy that's worth pounds. And that leads me then to, I want to ask you this question. And I realize you're a busy man. You've got training sessions to worry about in terms of getting to the gym and thinking about beating up people. You're probably going to go home right now and think about in your own home and neighborhood who I can beat up right now. You're probably just going to go and look for a fight because, well, you need to just pass the time. And before the Los Lancadores, you got to beat up some people just because you're a big man. And, well, you are ready for war. You are definitely ready for war. But I almost want to ask you this question, because I ask this all the time to Wildfire Nate Reese and the Acid Stephen Cross. And what do you want to say to LWF management right now, specifically Mikey Fitzgerald and Mr. Steve Bibby? I know that you want to get something off your chest. So what do you want to say to them right now?
I want to say that recent events, it's a setback, it's an obstacle. You've put many of those in my path. I've overcome every single one. You can carry on fining me. You can carry on putting me in matches. You can carry on putting me in situations I'm unfamiliar with, uncomfortable with. Bellateus will adapt. I will find a way. You know, I'm ready for anything. You know, I'm always up for a fight, as you've just touched upon there. You know, and Mikey needs to understand it doesn't matter who he puts in my way. I'll knock them down. You know, I'll echo that sentiment again. You can put the entire roster in my way, and I will try until the end. You know, this spirit and this fire that sort of burns within me isn't going to be dampened and put out by the likes of Mikey Fitzgerald and Steve Bibby. I'm not going to let them distract me and distract me and detract from the message and the mission that I am on. Okay, and it doesn't matter what Mikey Fitzgerald does. Okay, I will always come back bigger, faster, and stronger than before. And all this does is just light that fire within me and stoke that fire within me. And soon the LWF isn't going to be able to contain it. So it's in Mikey Fitzgerald's best interest to start listening. You know, start putting some respect on my name.
Ladies and gentlemen, before I get to a few comments, look at this man's facial expressions right now. Look at the size of this individual. If you're watching this on all of our Sportswire radio channels, look at this man right now. Would you really want to get on the wrong side of him? Would you really want to get this man angry? Look at this man right now. Listen, I think, and we saw what he did to Wildfire Nate Reese, it took literally the whole locker room to basically get this man out of there. This man right now, I mean, I would tread very lightly, even if I'm his tag team partners right now, when it comes to Wildfire Nate Reese, who knows him very well, and the asset Stephen Cross, and even Aurora Tevez. Right now, looking at this man, I would be terrified if I'm right next to him. I mean, thankfully, I'm on the other side of the pond here in New York because I would not want to get this man angry right now. We certainly see some of the things he's saying. And let's get some more comments in here. David Pod says, I spent my money on Los Lancadores merchandise. Well,
Wasted money.
Wasted money. That's about as wasted right now as my 401k mutual fund and my crypto account right now, which is basically.
If we're talking stocks, that's flying down this Saturday. That's
that
Los Lancadore merch. David's going to have to pay to have somebody take that off his hands, unfortunately.
Well, at this point, I would certainly say take the pounds out of the stock market, the 401k, the crypto account, and maybe put it into Bellateus and buy him a drink or two after he's done. And Louis Charles here says, here he is, the big bully who's going to get what's coming to him Saturday. I have a feeling you know who this individual is. And what's your thoughts on this comment here? Because he's got another one right afterwards.
Oh, brilliant. We've got more coming, have we? Okay. So, So I can see there on the profile picture, you know, clearly a fan of the Los Lancadores there. We've got a mask on there. He's clearly a fan of the Los Lancadores. And so, you know, it's not a surprise and it's not a shock to see the LWF fans coming in who clearly back the Los Lancadores and are, you know, trying to, you know, discredit me, trying to paint me as this big bully. I can't think of anything I've done that is indicative of being a bully. You know, if you stand in the ring with me or you get in my way or you make a mockery of me, you get what's coming. Everything I've done is reactive. Okay, all I need to do is get inside that ring and prove to the LWF and prove to everybody, because I've already proved to myself what I can do. So I need to prove to the LWF what I can do. Everything I do is reactive. If you step in that ring with me, if you cross me, then you get what's coming. And that's not indicative of a bully. That's indicative of somebody who gets things done.
He gets the job done, and quote unquote, it sounds like he very well could be a mercenary, is the definition of that. A hired gun, somebody that, listen, he's not looking for friends. He's not looking for allies. We've got another comment in here, and he says, quote unquote, I'm assuming he's related to somebody related to Mr. Disfrazada. Did I get it right?
Disfrazada, that is
so unfortunate. He says here, Disfrazada will put a boot to your face, and he doesn't back down from bullies. Your response to that now?
Well, you know, I've been told many times how tall of a man I am. I don't think Disfrazada has the.
How tall are you? For those who are watching, by the way, tell us how tall you are.
So I am 6'6".
You are certainly big. I'm about 6 foot, and I'm not considered short. You are definitely big. You are definitely a big man.
I don't think Disfrazada has the the flexibility, the leg reach to get his boot to my face. I would love, because there's no way he's getting me down. There is no way he is getting me down on that canvas to put his boot in my face. So the only way he's going to do that is by reaching up. And I'm afraid, Disfrazada, you might not, a little known fact, but I've been up close to Disfrazada. That man is old. That man's going to pull a hamstring or something trying to get his boot up there.
So you're saying he might be older than even a Wildfire Nate Reese?
Well, as difficult as that concept might be to get your head around, potentially. So I can't say for sure. I've never seen behind the mask. But you just get the sense from the way he moves and the way he is that, best years are behind him, and we wouldn't want him to hurt. Well, actually, no, we would want him to hurt himself. So by all means, try and get your boot up here.
Maybe he would need a ladder to get that boot up into you. Maybe we need a ladder there at the Buckshaw Village Community Center. That might be the only way he's going to get up there with that boot, right?
If anybody's got a ladder in the Buckshaw area, feel free. But Disfrazada's in the market for one.
Okay, fair enough. We've got another comment in here. It's from Mr. Paul. Is it Surgeon here? I apologize for my mispronunciations. I am from New York, so forgive me for my lack of pronunciation.
It's another Los Lancador fan. Butcher it as much as you want.
So he says, okay, fair enough. Duly noted. He says, you gave Mr. B 5 hand of gods. He was dead after just 1. That's a big bully. Your response?
Until that bell rings, my job isn't done. The referee didn't ring the bell. Who are you going to blame? You're going to blame me for carrying on doing what I need to do? Or are we going to blame the referee? Oh, no, that's not marketable to blame the referee. It's much better to blame Bellateus. It's much better to push that agenda. So by all means, go ahead. Give me your monikers. I don't care. I thrive on these.
Well, I have heard, by the way, because we do a lot of LWF talk each and every week here on Sportswire Radio, that there have been some referees in the LWF who have been labeled and deemed controversial. So, I mean, there is a point to some of that, what you just said on the referees. I mean, James Greenwood certainly comes to mind as an example that's been controversial. I know we have ref Laura Cade here, but I mean, have the referees in your mind been a little bit controversial, especially with your outcome in that Castle Cup match?
It's a tricky one, really, because, the 5 hands of gods, I lavish that, I live for that, getting to do 5. I wanted 6, I wanted 10. I was a little bit frustrated, but, getting to do 5, that was great. And when that bell didn't ring after the 4th one, it felt great getting that 5th one up there. And so, on the one hand, I'm inclined to disagree with that statement, but on the other hand, the count out, I was nearly back in, and I do think that 10 maybe came a little bit quicker than the rest of the count there, trying to push, for
well,
clash
we'll
there.
look at the tape here on Sportswire Radio, and we'll certainly bring it up to Mikey Fitzgerald. I can promise you, tomorrow night, we'll ask him about that. Maybe was the count a little too fast? Because there can be times sometimes maybe these referees are told, hey, you know what? Certain wrestlers, make sure you count too quick. Hey, you know what? Make sure that we get a certain outcome that we have. I mean,
I'm sure if anybody could have an insight on that, Mikey Fitzgerald would be pretty much top of that.
We're going to ask him tomorrow. You have my word.
This is all speculative. This is all hearsay. I have no shame in admitting that the hardest I've been hit in the LWF was by that ring post. I was
That's
a little
the
bit
only
groggy.
thing that could hit you hard. That's the only thing that could hit you hard. I'm not even sure right now could hit you hard. He's the world champion. So something tells me that's the case. And we have another comment in here, certainly again by a fan of Disfrazada, and he says here, beating up a defenseless sound technician, surefire bully. You will see how high Disfrazada can kick come Saturday when he takes your jaw off. I guess then the ladder's going to be there at the Buckshaw Village Community Center. Is that correct?
Louis must be bringing the ladder. Louis must be providing that.
Would that be legal also on Saturdays? Would that be legal? Are we no hold barred or?
I mean, legal, illegal, I don't care. It's the only way he's getting up there, isn't it? So he needs it, bless him. And he has. Put it this way, LWF, if a ladder comes into that ring to try and get up to my jaw, I sanction that. I sanction that.
Fair enough. And obviously, Mr. David Potts comes in here and says, you lost, stop moaning. But is it moaning, though? I don't know if this is moaning because it sounds like you very well could have a legitimate case here.
I mean, I've been told to stop moaning, and then, I get in the ring for an interview, and all of a sudden it's brought back up again. What's the outcome there? On the one hand, I'm being told to stop moaning. On the other hand, people can't stop asking me, oh, Bellateus, how did it feel when you lost? If you want me to stop moaning and get on with it, let's put that behind us. That happened. I can't change that, okay? But what I can change is the bone structure of everybody else who gets into that ring with me. And this Saturday, that is exactly what will happen.
Well, I'm going to make a promise on this here on Sportswire Radio before I get to the next comment. I notice every time I'm on the air, I'm getting more and more comments, so I'm trying to keep up here. But I'll make a promise here because we have talked about outcomes here on Sportswire Radio that was certainly deemed controversial. And your tag team partner, quote unquote, this Saturday, the Acid Stephen Cross, is a huge example of that. And even Wildfire Nate Reese, when he had to deal with Franco Varga a few months back, there have been controversial endings here in the LWF. There have been controversial matches here. So you're not the first person. You're not the last person. Goes back to what I said about the nepotism possibly being involved with management in the LWF. I mean, we're going to get to the nook of that, obviously, with Mikey Fitzgerald. We'll certainly get Stephen Cross and Nate Reese's side on things once again this Friday. And Nathan Gunn is in the house also. He's going to run down the card for us. We're going to get some thoughts from him. And I know that he's going to tread very light and be on his best behavior when it comes to you. And obviously, another person here that obviously has been on our streams frequently, and we will certainly not say who the individual is here, but he makes a very valid point here. It says, Disrasada, how is he going to boot you? I mean,
this is the question of the day, isn't it? I can't wait to see. You know, that's just put down something even tastier for Saturday. You know, how is he? How is he? I can't wait to find out. I hope you can't wait either.
I certainly can't. Listen, I'm excited Friday. Listen, we're doing all-day LWF coverage throughout on Sportswire Radio, on Facebook at Tom Bryce, at Sportswire Radio, sportnarium.com/player. I'm excited to be speaking LWF, and I'm going to certainly ask. I'm going to ask your tag team partners, Nathan Gunn, Nate Reese, Nathan Gunn, who's going to be on the call and with us bringing the card down. I'll ask Stephen Cross. I'll ask your partners. I'll ask Nathan Gunn. I'm going to ask them this question. And I'm going to certainly ask Mikey Fitzgerald that question. So you certainly have my word because I am actually trying to figure this out. How is this humanly possible here? I mean, again, there has to be a fix. I mean, I've even brought it up on Sportswire Radio that there very well could be a fix. We've seen certain things alleged. We'll certainly see, but these are reasons also why I can't stress enough before we get out of here, why you need to follow Bellateus on Instagram at Bellateus, also Facebook at Bellateus, the LWF Wrestling on Instagram, LWF on Twitter, Lancashire Wrestling on Facebook. Subscribe to the LWF's YouTube page, Buckshaw Village Community Center. If you have a chance, you better make sure you're going to be there because look at this man, ladies and gentlemen. If you aren't there, you clearly are going to have this man come down to your house and beat you up. If you have a chance to get down, you live not too far from the Buckshaw Village Community Center, it ain't going to cost you much. Because like I mentioned, the stock market's down, inflation's up, crypto accounts are down. Take that money out and just put it in to the LWF's upcoming Wastelands event. Because I know if I had the chance to go down to the Buckshaw Village Community Center, I would have a front row seat, and I would be cheering on Bellateus. I would be cheering on Wildfire Nate Reese and the Acid Stephen Cross and even Aurora Tevez. So these are things that you need to do. But before I get closing thoughts from you, I want to ask you a couple quick questions. So first question I want to ask you is, what do you want to say? These are your last words before Saturday. So I want to give you thoughts on what you'd like to say first to your people that you're going to stand against in the ring. That is obviously the Los Lancadores. We spoke a lot about them, but final words to the Los Lancadores, Bob Costin, and Harley Hudson.
So I'm going to lay this out really clearly. I'm going to keep this short. I'm going to keep this sweet. Okay. I described them in my post as uneasy allies. I stand by that. They are my uneasy allies. We are together, but our motives do not align. You know, when we're not together as a team, we're not together as a unit, but we have been thrown together here by the LWF management in a bid to throw me off. And so my message to Stephen Cross, to Nate Reese, to Aurora Tevez is stay out of my way. All I need is the Los Lancadores. Stay out of my way, and they can do whatever they want. Any bones they've got to pick, any axes they have to grind, go right ahead. Power to them. But you stay out of my way when the Los Lancadores are around. I need access to the Los Lancadores to do what I need to do, to grind my own axe. Okay? You stay out of my way, and we won't have any issues. You know, Stephen Cross wants to try and poke me. I believe that's all rhetoric and hot air. I don't think he really will. I don't think he'll want to try that. And maybe you can, Maybe you can confirm
I'm
that
going to
when
ask
you
him
speak
that
to him.
because certainly
Absolutely.
I'll ask him that. He's had his problems in the past with the wrecking crew. He's had his problems with other people in the locker room. I'm going to
Absolutely.
definitely ask him this question. And I know Wildfire Nate Reese ain't going to want to poke you because he's been down that road.
Well,
So I certainly know that.
he's been very quiet, and I would be too. He
He has
knows
been
what I'm
quiet the
capable of.
last week. I have to say, he's been very quiet.
Stephen Cross, he doesn't know. He doesn't know. So in a way, I pity him because he doesn't know what will happen. And so, him asking, it's cute in a way, really, because he doesn't know what will happen. Nate Reese has been quiet, and I believe that is for good reason because he does know. Nate Reese is someone who does
Good
know.
point.
And
Good point.
Nate Reese won't soon forget that. Now, I will move on now to the people who stand
And Leah
opposite
Raven,
me.
by the way, I stand corrected, not Harley Hudson. I
Yeah,
stand corrected. I want to make sure of that.
Leah Raven, Bob Costin, I don't have any issue with those guys, I don't have any issue. If they stay out of my way exactly the same as my allies that evening, we won't have an issue either. My issue lies squarely with the Los Lancadors. If they find themselves in the ring with me, however, make no mistake about it, they are in my way. I'll, Five Hand of Gods, just ask Mr. B how that feels. He'll be at ringside. You can have a chat with him. You can ask him how that feels. That is what will come to you until you give me what I need, which is a tag to either the Mass Marauder or Disfrazada, okay? Who can get in the ring with me and face me. I will do what I need to do. If Bob Costin and Leah Raven stay out of my way, it's going to be a nice, easy night for them. They'll wake up on Sunday and they'll feel fresh as a daisy. But if they stand in my way, they're going to know about it just the same as the Los Lancadors. They're going to make another enemy that night, and they're going to make an enemy that they don't want in Bellateus. And for the Mass Marauder, for Disfrazada, and for Mr. B, who, by all accounts, will be at ringside, I have but one simple word: run.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is why they call him I Am War. This is why you better run. But I'll say one thing before I get to Dustin Hart's comment. You can only run so far. You can only run for a certain point because Saturday is coming. Saturday night is coming at the Buckshot Village Community Center. And Bellateus is going to get his due because there is an expression, every dog has his day. And something tells me that Bellateus is going to have his day. And these are reasons why you need to follow Bellateus on Facebook and Instagram because he is going to be ready for a war. Forget about Putin and Zelensky, Ukraine and Russia. Forget about everything you read because this is the man that is going to bring a tank. He is the tank, and he is going to get his due and his justice this Saturday at the Buckshaw Village Community Center. And Dustin Hart definitely agrees because he says, never kick a man when they are down. A man with nothing to lose is a very dangerous man indeed. Facts. That is definitely the facts because look at this man. Before we get out of here, look at the size of this man. He's 6'6". Now, I'm not a short guy by any stretch, but this guy makes me look like a midget. He's 6'6". Look at his face. Look at his aggression right now. This man is somebody that I would not want to cross. And I'm going to say it because we have a big problem right now in New York City with crime and keeping the streets safe. If Steve Bibby and Mikey Fitzgerald, if they can't get this guy and make him happy, we'll take him in New York City because this guy will get the bad guys. Make New York City a lot safer than it used to be. We'll take him here. We'll find a way. Listen, somebody will find a way and market this man because I got a very, very good feeling that somebody's going to get the hint here. He is a very dangerous man. I would want to be on his side, and Dustin says, good luck Saturday. Of course, Dustin is definitely a friend. I got a feeling that Dustin's going to be with us in the near and distant future. But you're a very busy man. I know you have a lot going on. You're getting ready for ass kickings. You're probably thinking about your next beatdown right now coming up. You're probably thinking about gym. You're thinking about all these different things. You're thinking about how angry you are about the fact that you are tag teaming with Wildfire Nate Reese and the Acid Stephen Cross. And you are obviously having the Los Lancadors on your mind. And certainly if I'm Bob Costin of all people right now, who's got a bald head right now, looks like Mr. Clean right now, a mix of Mr. Clean and Uncle Fester from the Addams Family, I would certainly not want to get this man angry. And listen, for Leah Raven, same thing. Just get out of his way. Just don't get in his way, because that's the best advice you're gonna ever get, especially for Bob Costin right now, who lost all his hair. So obviously, make sure you don't get in his way. And Dustin says here, I'm new to the show, and I really can't wait to be on. It's always professional. That's what we do here on Sportswire. Listen, I say it all the time. Listen, they ask us all the time, do you want to talk with Vince McMahon? Do you want to talk with Triple H? Do you want to talk with AEW? I say, no, we don't want AEW. We don't want WWE. We want the LWF. We want the likes of Dustin Hart. We want all the companies here in the UK to speak with. We don't want WWE. Listen, Roman Reigns asked to come on the show. We said, nah, we're busy. We don't want him. RK Bro, we didn't want him. Kenny Omega, Bryan Danielson, Samoa Joe, Ring of Honor. We didn't want all those guys. We want the people like Bellateus. This is what we do here on Sportswire Radio. So I know you're a busy man. I want to give you the floor. I want to give you some closing thoughts. Anything you want to say to anybody watching, listening, anybody that is a fan of yours, anybody that is coming this Saturday, the floor is yours, my friend. I can't thank you enough. Plug any social media that you like or that we missed, and fire away.
Yeah, thank you. Again, I want to start this how I opened it. I want to thank you for giving me the space to talk. Talking's quite a novel thing for me, certainly in the LWF. And the last time I was afforded that opportunity, it was skewed, it was warped, it was manipulated to fit a narrative that the LWF wanted to meet for me. And I was manipulated into my actions. And so it's been nice to come here and speak freely. It's been nice to hear from the Sportswire Radio viewers. On balance, I think it's been so refreshing to hear from so many like-minded individuals, the likes of Dustin, the likes of David, and then obviously we do have the Los Lancador fans who have piped up, and that's absolutely fine. They are out there and they deserve to have their voices heard. But on Saturday there won't be much to speak about. There won't be much left to speak about. And to anybody who's sitting on the fence thinking, do I come to Wastelands this Saturday? Absolutely, because it is my promise to you that the things I will do to the Los Lancadors and Bob Costin and Leah Raven, if they get in my way, the things I will do will cover the cost of admission alone. Okay, you will not be disappointed. You should arrive and you should be ready for anything, because anything will go when I am in that ring. I am War.
Ladies and gentlemen, forget about WrestleMania Backlash last week. Forget about Top Gun that's coming out. Forget about Doctor Strange 2. Put your pounds, put your money on Bellateus. Make sure you are at the Buckshore Village Community Center, because if you have a chance, look at this man's face. I can't stress it enough. He's 6'6" worth of aggression. He's 200-something plus pounds. It's all muscle. It's all fire. And he is War. These are reasons why you need to be there. Or, as they always say, be square. And can't stress it enough. Follow him on Instagram at Bellateus. Also like his page on Facebook, because he might know where you live. He might come after you, and he might beat you up. And listen, forget about when Mike Tyson famously said he was going to eat Lennox Lewis's children and rip his heart out. This guy might do 10 times worse than that. So this is why you want to make sure you stay on his good side. We're going to ask Mr. Fitzgerald tomorrow about the injustices toward this man. We're going to ask Mr. Cross and Mr. Reese about their feelings about obviously being in the ring with him. It better be good thoughts. And obviously we'll ask Mr. Gunn, who's had his own problems. Mr. Gunn has had a world of problems in the LWF. We'll be asking Mr. Gunn. We'll be asking him Friday evening about this match, and I'm sure he's going to have a good take, because something tells me he ain't going to want to get in the way of Bellateus. My friend, I don't need to tell you good luck on Saturday, because I know you have a job to do. You're going to do it. There's no telling me.
I make my own luck.
Exactly. We don't need to tell you good luck, because I have wrestlers all the time. I have to tell them, well, good luck. I have coaches on all the sports. Good luck, I always say. I don't need good luck, because you are your own luck, and you're going to do what you intended to do. So I thank you. Congratulations on all of your success. I'm looking forward to having you back on after the 14th. We'll talk much more about you, and I'm ready for War and looking forward to speaking with you soon, and thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me on once more, and I will certainly be there in the audience. I can't wait to hear what those guys have to say about me, because, it'd be interesting to get their insight before Saturday and get into their minds, before the big day. So I'll be there. I'll be ready. I'll be watching. I'll be listening. Thank you so much for having me on.
9:30 p.m. tomorrow with Mikey Fitz. 9 p.m. starts with Nathan Gunn Friday night. We're all going to be there. As we're here on the Sports Report, the number one level sports show with pro wrestling star here from the LWF. That's as I am the host of the Sports Report and the station manager here of Sportzwire Radio, the Reverend Tom Bryce. We'll be back here in a little while talking GT Ministries and CCW with Bradley Cook Pattinson and Old School MC2 as they get ready for the card this Saturday for Judgment Day, and Old School MC2's Tag Team Championship against the CCW champions, the Working Class Militia. So hang on for that about 20 or 25 minutes as I get a drink and rest my voice, as we are just here with pro wrestling star from the LWF, that is Bellateus. So stay tuned for that. If you're on Sportswire Radio, we'll be back here in a little while. And thank you. We'll be back here tomorrow night talking more LWF with Mikey Fitz at 9:30. And then at 9 o'clock the next day, we'll have Nathan Gunn, Wildfire Nate Reese, and the Acid Stephen Cross. Thank you, everybody, for watching. And also, Dustin Hart says one more time, yes, say it again. Love the way you pronounce stuff. Well, I don't think I can say it again because my voice is shot, so I don't think I can do that. So you're going to have to wait. I'll be on a little while so I can do more pronunciations. But until then, I got to rest my voice. I'm on like 7 times between now and Friday night. But we'll be back in a little while, my friend. Hope to see you then.